Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really getting into some unique source material today. We're focusing on paper 120, part 3. It details the pre-bestowal instructions given to Christ Michael, who we know as Jesus, right before his final incarnation here on Urantia.
Right. And this knowledge really helps clarify some major misconceptions, I think. We're looking at the actual cosmic rules of engagement for his mission. Not just what he did, but the incredibly strict constraints placed on a creator son, the actual sovereign of our universe, taking human form.
Constraints. Okay. And the sources break these down.
Yeah, neatly into two main parts. First, Immanuel's advice on handling his divine nature, his inherent power. And second, Gabriel's counsel, which was more about how to actually live his mortal life day to day.
Okay, let's unpack that first part then. The rigor of divine restraint. That sounds intense.
Oh, it was. The core difficulty, you have to understand, is immense. Michael is a creator son. He has divine attributes, powers, things that just cannot be shed. They're part of his personality, even when he's in a mortal body.
So it wasn't about gaining power, but controlling what was already there.
Exactly. It was about perfectly locking it down, submitting all of that inherent power to the will of the universal Father. That was the challenge.
Wow. Okay, so how did that work practically? Did the rules change as he grew up?
They did. The sources talk about three phases tied to his growth and consciousness. In the very first phase, before his thought adjuster arrived, that's the Father's presence within the mind, comes around age 5 for most humans.
Right, the inner guide.
Yes. Before that, Michael technically had the power to just end the incarnation, stop the whole thing at any moment.
But he didn't.
He didn't. Then, once the adjuster arrived, up until his baptism, the goal shifted. The absolute focus was for him to operate entirely under the Father's will, getting guidance only through his human mind, just like, the standard human experience of being led spiritually.
So mirroring the human path, but with this underlying divine reality.
Precisely. It required immense patience just living through the normal evolutionary process. Then comes the final phase. After his baptism, this is really key.
What changed then?
His human will became fully active, fully conscious. From that point on, every single moment, he had to consciously choose not to use his own creator-son powers. He had to actively sideline his divine prerogatives.
That sounds almost impossible. I mean, if he's the sovereign.
That's the point. As sovereign, anything he wills immediately manifests. Reality bends to his intention. So if he had made even one conscious, deliberate choice outside the Father's specific will for the bestowal,
Poof, mission over.
instantly, the bestowal would have terminated. The whole thing would have needed to be redone. It was that critical.
Okay, so that phrase he used constantly. If it be the will of my paradise Father, that wasn't just like a nice saying.
Not at all. It was an active, conscious mental safeguard, a constant reminder, a mechanism to prevent his own inherent universe-level will from overriding the Father's plan for this very specific mortal life.
Wow. Okay. That paints a very different picture.
It shows incredible dedication, doesn't it? That constant self-restraint is what fundamentally separates his mission from, say, the actions of Lucifer or even Adam and Eve, where personal will sort of went off track.
Got it. So that covers the internal rules, the divine straitjacket almost. What about interacting with the world? You mentioned Gabriel's counsel.
Yes, this was the practical advice for his human life, relayed by Immanuel after consulting Gabriel. It focused heavily on non-interference.
Non-interference. In what way?
Well, his service was meant to be focused purely on spiritual regeneration and intellectual emancipation, helping people spiritually, intellectually. Any practical service had to be immediately helpful to fellow humans, aligning with the whole brotherhood of God idea.
But strictly avoiding, what? Politics, money.
Exactly. Explicitly warned off getting tangled in the economic structures or political commitments of the time. So no weighing in on Roman rule, no joining groups like the Zealots, even if their cause seemed just to some.
That must have been hard for his followers to understand sometimes, seeing the suffering around them.
Perhaps. But there was a prime directive, a non-negotiable rule. Under no circumstances was he to interfere with the normal and orderly progressive evolution of the Urantia races.
The cosmic version of don't mess with the timeline.
Sort of, yeah. It's why higher beings don't just come down and, fix governments or economies. Perfect celestial rule imposed from outside would actually short-circuit our free will, our natural planetary development.
So his job wasn't to build a perfect society for us.
No. It was to live a perfect religious life within the existing imperfect society. He was simply told to follow the accepted customs of family and community life of his people, the Jewish people of that time, live an ideal religious life within that context.
Okay. Now, this next part, the sources say he was told to avoid creating a new organized religion. That seems counterintuitive to history.
It does, doesn't it? But the instruction was apparently very clear. He should engage with existing spiritual paths, yes, but seek to avoid the formal establishment of an organized cult or crystallized religion.
Crystallized, meaning fixed, rigid.
Exactly. The idea was that his life and teachings were meant to become the common heritage of all religions, all peoples, to foster the brotherhood of man universally.
But Christianity happened. Churches, doctrines, priesthoods.
Well, according to these sources, yes. The subsequent formation of the Christian church, particularly the structure and doctrines shaped by Peter and Paul, is viewed here as a distortion of that original intent, not the intended outcome.
That's a significant claim.
Yeah.
It repositions his entire legacy.
It does, and it ties directly into the next set of instructions, which were designed specifically to prevent that kind of crystallization, that kind of idolatry.
You mean about images and writings?
Yes. The instruction was incredibly specific. Leave no writings behind you on the planet. None. And he was to tell his associates not to make any images or other likenesses of yourself in the flesh.
No writings, no pictures. Why?
To prevent the creation of stereotyped religious beliefs. To stop people from becoming loyal to a specific image, a specific text, rather than the living spirit of the teaching. Non-progressive loyalties, the sources call them.
And did he follow that?
The sources state he did. Apparently, he destroyed any personal notes or drawings he might have made before his baptism, specifically to comply with this mandate.
So if that's true, artifacts like the Shroud of Turin or any supposed portrait.
According to this instruction, they couldn't be authentic likenesses made during his life or by his direction. The whole point was no likeness, focus on the universal spirit, not the specific form.
Wow. Okay, and what about the personal side? Family, marriage, there are always theories.
Addressed directly. The instructions are unequivocal on this.
Which are?
While marriage itself was seen as honorable, Jesus was specifically mandated not to marry or to have human children.
Mandated, not just his choice.
A mandate. From Sonnerington, the headquarters for these bestowal missions, it's apparently a standing rule for bestowal sons of paradise origin. They are forbidden from leaving human offspring on any evolutionary planet.
So that completely refutes any bloodline of Christ theories then.
Yeah.
At least according to this source.
Unequivocally, yes. It wasn't an option. It was another major constraint, predetermined for cosmic reasons, ensuring the mission stayed purely focused on spiritual revelation, not on, founding a physical dynasty.
Okay, so the constraints were huge on his power, his politics, his legacy, even his potential family. It sounds incredibly difficult. Why? What was the ultimate point of all this?
The supreme purpose, as the sources frame it, was sort of twofold. First, simply enhance the revelation of God the Father, to show what a life lived in perfect harmony with the Father's will looks like, even under maximum difficulty.
A living example.
The ultimate living example. And second, there was a universal audience. Michael's completely self-forgetful service as the Son of Man, choosing to be the lowest of his creation, subject only to the Father. This served to permanently silence accusations within the universe, from beings like Lucifer or others, that creator sons were maybe selfish or autocratic rulers.
So as a demonstration, proof of concept for the whole universe.
Exactly. Proof that even absolute power could choose absolute loyalty and service to the divine hierarchy, to the Father. It settled a long-running cosmic debate, in a way.
And his nature during all this. Was he God pretending to be human or human discovering he was God?
The sources are clear. He had a truly dual origin. But crucially, he was not a split personality. He was God incarnate in man. One unified being.
Always, from the start.
Always that combined being. The only thing that changed, that progressed, was his human mind's growing awareness of this fact. His progressive self-conscious realization of his own dual identity. He was discovering who he already was, much like we all discover ourselves, just his discovery had slightly higher stakes.
Slightly, okay. And one last thing that often comes up, miracles. Walking on water, healings.
Yeah.
How did the Celestials view those?
It's interesting. For most citizens of the local universe, things we call miracles are often just seen as, well, the operation of higher natural laws they understand better than we do, not necessarily universe-shattering.
So what is a miracle to them?
The truly awe-inspiring events, the real miracles in their view, are the incarnational bestowals themselves. The very fact that a divine son can appear through natural human processes.
That's the big mystery, the coming into flesh.
That's the ultimate mystery for them. Successfully completing a bestowal like Michael's, especially as a creator son under such tight rules, without ever breaking the father's will or messing up planetary evolution, they see that as the operation of profound universal laws, far beyond their grasp. That act is the cosmic marvel.
That puts things in perspective. Okay, let's try and sum this up for you listening. These pre-bestowal instructions demanded incredible self-restraint over limitless power. They mandated focusing on spirit, not politics. And they aimed for a universal heritage, not a walled-off religion, even forbidding images or texts that could become idols. His life was the message.
Precisely. And that commitment to leaving nothing physical, nothing limiting or idolatrous, it leads to a really fascinating idea in the sources about his potential return.
Oh, is that?
It suggests that when Michael does return, the actual physical appearance you perceive, well, it will be different for every single person.
Wait, different for everyone. How? Like a projection.
Exactly like a projection. The sources say the mechanical physical controllers will project that image from our mind in our eyes. Meaning the vision of deity you see will literally be the projection of the divine as you personally perceive him based on your own inner spiritual understanding and capacity.
Whoa. Oh, that's,
Wow.
that's huge. So no single image fits all. The image comes from within us. That really challenges you, doesn't it? How different is your own internal, personal sense of the divine from all the historical pictures and statues and fixed ideas you've been handed down? What image would your mind project? Something to definitely think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.